We have completed successfully the integrating the number of servlets into a single servlet, and after integration we have seen some behavior with respect to the UI. It is expecting something, a URL request to be uh, for resources also it has to pass. Even in the browser we are able to see the same behavior. So to come up with this problem, what we have to do, we can initialize the style. We can say JSP include. We have something called file. Why I'm not getting this autocomplete? We need to tell the CSS path here. We have something style dot CSS. Now we can remove this. Let's refresh. Here we go. Our style came back. Then we have to do the other JSPs. Registration page is also arranged proper format. Admin. Yes, this also arranged. This also arranged. So today we are going to integrate the JPA integration, that is ORM tool. So we need a Hibernate core jar. So we'll use Maven. Some version will take Hibernate. Then we'll put this Hibernate jar into the pom.xml. Let Maven or Eclipse internal tool will download the Hibernate jar. We're supposed to stop the server because it will restart again. We'll look at our libraries, what are the jars it is going to load. Let's see the libraries. In the main library, what are the jars has been loaded. So you can see here the new jars like Hibernate core and the JBoss persistence. These jars have been loaded. So now let's create a one folder inside the resources. And create it as meta-inf. We must create in this format because the JPA standards goes in this way. We need XML file inside this. So we'll create one XML file. We need to give name as persistence. .xml. I will load my default persistence properties. Few of the few of the properties not required. Just this one I will tell you this property meaning. So rest all properties are like my basic properties, the Jdbc properties. We have the database name called sch test. So we have to mention it as sch test. Then other properties remain same. Okay, here we go. Let's give it as update. We have to understand create update meaning on start the Hibernate to DDL API will update the existing database tables on start of our server, or if you give the create, it will create that we will see in the later part. This is the dilate I have given because we are using the MySQL. We have some other dilates also. Let's use the annotations. Till now we have used the very basic Pujo class. Let me use the annotation entity. This is the table name. So we have to bit more detailed study we have to do on the ORM tool. So if you are noticing, I am giving this exact name as existed in the DB. This length may differ. Now we have to write the connection establishment with entity manager factory. So we have something called listener. We'll go to the app listener here. Okay, we have init method and the destroy method. This is the name we have given in the this persistence unit name. You should be careful in these properties also. Then we have something solid context dot set attribute. We set it as EMF. And we have something a destroy method as well. In the destroy, what we will do in the destroy, we will take this object back from the context. The from the context we have set this object, then we have to typecast it, then we can say emf dot close. Okay, this is what we have to do. So let's see it is going to work or not, and in the later part how we can initialize the object db connection object instead of our jdbc connection object. In the console part we can see the logs where it generates. Here we go. Hibernate classes are loaded. I feel the persistence property is also loaded here. Yeah, dilate is loaded. Number of pool connection 20. Okay, initialization time error. Let's increase the server timeout. how we can increase the server timeout? We can have a double click on this Tomcat server. We'll get the Tomcat properties. So I'll just increase to 450 and this one I will set to 40. Just save it, redeploy. Let's see the logs once again. As we know, we have only one DB class. Now we are not going much into the doing the update and delete and insert with the more on the SQL queries. Instead of that, we will do the ORM operation. So how we can do the ORM operation? We can just use the ORM APIs just for saving the save, update methods. Yeah, here we go. Don't need this. Let's understand this. Here it generated some sequence, the engine specific sequence. It's okay. We have given the update method. That's why we are getting here. Data is there. Anywhere you did a column mistake, no column mistake. If you do the any additional columns, then automatically columns also will append here. Okay. So our persistence framework is also loading with the context. So what we can do, we just test our login. Admin, it's working fine. Now let's integrate the, we'll remove the JDBC and we'll integrate our persistence in the main servlet. Let's go to main servlet. Here, when we invoke the login, we will do some database operations here. So what we can do instead of this database operation, we'll invoke the ORM entity manager factory. So how we can invoke the entity manager factory? Get context dot, I can say get attribute. Our attribute is EMF. So EMF is nothing but entity manager factory. I think we have to typecast it here again. And that's we go. Now from this we can create an entity manager. We'll remove this entire JDBC code and we'll do the authentication based on the JPA libraries. Let me stop the server. We do some code update here. Better we can stop the server. we can execute some SQL query itself, because we have to do the select star from some table name like that. Instead of that, we can say select from user, you can say user details, where a dot username we don't need these lines. I think we have to say if db user dot get finally we can say manager dot close and emf dot. Finally we can say that manager dot close, then if manager dot get transaction dot is active. Rollback and manager close. Let's check this code as we have removed these things. Let's go to the browser and we'll check if the login is working as expected or not. Yeah, we got some Hibernate error. User.username expected token A. This is not required. Here now the ad hoc save on the servlets, it's very costlier now because server load time will be more. Here we go. It has printed the entire SQL also what is going to select from the table name, where username and password. These things if you see, we'll clearly understand how the JPA is going to work with the our application. Okay, let's try to do with all the other places for registration, delete, update and all. Let's do for registration. Let me copy the same set of code. And then what we have to do here, entity manager dot manager dot begin, manager dot persist what? You have to say this one, then manager dot get transaction dot commit, then just remove this entire code. Finally, if manager dot get transaction dot is active, then you have to say manager dot get transaction rollback and manager dot close. So I have done this modification for registration as well here in the registration. So in the registration, what we are doing, we are just saying persist. The persist will do the operations of make instance to manage run persistence. So here it has given the explanation of saving the given object. We are going to save the given object into the by using this transaction. So we'll check this operation by compiling and redeploying the var file. So why we are going to use this ORM tool? We are out of now. We are out of this entire SQL lines of code and easy to analyze the code when you have a defect and all. So even we can say that much query processing inside the Java it has been reduced. In the real time, we'll get a much more help by the persistence layer in the form of the connection pooling and all. Now let's see the output of this. Registration. So basically we do the register, then we'll check how the registration is working. In the later part we'll see one more thing. When you want a few users, default users in the application, then what we can do. So I will register here. Let's check whether it is working. How? So we have a problem with respect to primary key. Then we need to make a slight modification inside our entity class. The entity class is the user details. In the user details, we take that entity instead of taking the auto. Let's check it is going to do the restart. Yeah, it is restarting. It is going to suggest you, instead of using the driver class in this way, we can use this. User successfully registered, then render to the home.jsp. Sorry, that is our index.jsp. Let's check. New record is also inserted. Okay, and then we can log in and check the new record. Yes, here we go. I have said when you want to do the insert operation, we did a small query processing like this. Insert into table, then I mentioned the values like user underscore name, comma, user underscore password, comma, email, comma, phone. Then you can just mention the values. Few of the application will be having a requirement like mandatorily we need a few of the users, initial users, to get login into the system. Then we do some initial level of check. Later the users may register and they may get approval from the admin like this. In that scenario, what we have to do, we need to follow something, a different approach. We need a predefined users, so then how we can do the predefined users in our system instead of the processing in the form of query. You can use the persistence layer flexible operations that we have something called persistent import file. This we can do. We can create one more file inside the resources folder, that is our SQL file. New, we'll create a file. I have to give the file name as data dot SQL. I'm going to place one default user, then I'm going to do one more magic with the persistence layer here. Let's stop this server. I told update will update, and if you say create, then it will delete the existing records and table and recreate it. Let's check this. For that, what we can do, I will just recompile this code. I did the recompile this for the purpose I modified the XML file. In few of the Java file modification, I will directly run it. No need to do the compilation. So now here in the query, in the console, we can observe the insert record and all. Basically, what it does, it is going to delete these records and will do the insert of the only one record which we have given in the form of query. I hope in the query there is no mistake. If SQL query has some mistake, then obviously invalid type code 00. I hope it deleted records. And see, you can the table structure also recreated, and I will go through this error. Cannot deserialize the session. We'll deal with that error, what exactly it is. Let's check whether the login is working or not. Yeah, I hope login is working fine. Then let's check for the registration. I will register here. The registration may be successful. Last time also we have seen. Now we'll go to admin. Yes, we are able to see the record. These are functionalities again we have to implement with the JPA standards. Let's check that. For now we deal this error. Okay, let's see in the UI. We can see in the console due to the persistent.xml what are the insert queries we have given, and we given the create in the persistent.xml this DDL to HBM to DDL. So it deleted the table, then recreated it. After creating, we can see the create table statement, then insert record we have given for the admin, then later part it has executed everything fine. In the DB also you can see the records. Yeah, admin is existed. Then you can try for login. Let me try the admin login. Admin login supposed to work. Later we'll do the registration also already it was working. Then we just check. Yes, registration has also worked fine. Then we'll go for admin login, check. Yeah, so this is how we can integrate the ORM tool JPA with the Servlet and JSP project. So it will be more faster and more fruitful when you deal with the multiple tables and so many operations. On start, it will create the tables and few of the default records we can place in the query files, and we can mention the files here comma separated, and that will give the fruitful result. So let's see in the next videos further more development with this project.